Okay, let's just get right into it. In 2026, the way your credit score gets calculated is going through, honestly, the biggest change we've seen in a generation. And this is not some minor tweak we're talking about. It's a fundamental overhaul that's going to affect pretty much anyone who plans to buy a house, get a car loan, or even just open a new credit card. The rulebook that's been running your financial life for decades, it's being completely rewritten. So in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what is changing and, more importantly, what you need to do to get ready for it.
To really get how massive this shift is, you gotta look back. Since 1989, one name has pretty much run the show in the mortgage world: FICO. A specific model, Classic FICO, was basically the gatekeeper for every single home loan in America. But that system is old, you know? It was really struggling to keep up with how we live and spend today. So why the huge change right now? Well, it all kicked off in 2018 with something called the Credit Score Competition Act. That was a law that basically told the government, hey, it's time to let some new, better scoring models in the door. And that act started a years-long process that's led us right here, to this new era starting in 2026.
So here's the bottom line. The old way of judging your creditworthiness is being retired. That classic FICO score you might have spent years obsessing over, for all new mortgages, it's being replaced. And this isn't just some software update, it's a total shift in how lenders see you. The very definition of what makes you a good borrower is being redefined. And that means the old tricks you might have used to pump up your score, they might not work anymore. And there are some brand new traps that could definitely catch you by surprise.
Now, what's really fascinating is the why behind all this. A huge reason for this change is the number you're looking at right now, 45 million. That's how many Americans were essentially credit invisible or unscorable under the old system. Just think about that for a second. That's about 1 in every 7 adults in the U.S. being completely left out. We're talking about young people just starting out, new immigrants, or even just folks who choose to live debt-free. So the government's mandate was pretty clear. Find a more inclusive, a fairer way to measure if someone is financially responsible.
Okay, so to get you totally prepared for this new world, we've broken this explainer down into 5 key parts. First, we'll get into the nuts and bolts of the big shakeup. Then, we'll introduce you to the 2 new competing models that are going to define your financial future. In Part 3, we'll show you how things like rent payments are finally getting the power they deserve. Section 4, we're going to untangle the absolutely chaotic new rules around medical debt. And then, the best part, we'll give you a concrete step-by-step playbook to make sure you come out on top.
All right, Section 1. So who's actually pulling the strings on this whole thing? Well, that would be the FHFA, the Federal Housing Finance Agency. These are the regulators for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, the 2 giants that buy up most of the home loans in America. And because they buy the loans, they get to set the rules. And their new rule is a big one. They're officially ditching that single, decades-old classic FICO score. Instead, they're now requiring lenders to use one of 2 brand new competing models.
And this right here is the absolute heart of the change. After a long, really tough testing period back in October 2022, the FHFA gave the green light to 2 new models, FICO 10T and VantageScore 4.0. That decision just shattered FICO's monopoly that it's had in the mortgage industry for, well, forever. And this is where it gets really interesting, because now we're about to see a clash of the titans in the credit scoring world, a competition that is going to directly impact how you get judged as a borrower.
So let's meet the 2 new kids on the block, FICO 10T and VantageScore 4.0. And don't let the names fool you. These are not just slightly different versions of what we already had. No way. They are built on fundamentally different technologies and really different philosophies. They look at your data in completely new ways, they weigh your financial habits differently, and they're each designed to solve very different problems.
The absolute best way to understand the first new model, FICO 10T, is with this snapshot versus movie analogy. The old score, it just took a snapshot. It saw your credit card balance on one random day and judged you based on that single moment. But FICO 10T, and that T stands for trended data, it watches a 24-month movie of your finances. It doesn't just see that you have a $5,000 balance, it sees the story behind it. Did that balance jump up from 0 last month, or have you been slowly and steadily paying it down from $10,000? That context, it's a total game changer.
So because it sees this whole 2-year story, FICO 10T gets really specific about what it likes and what it really doesn't. It heavily rewards people it calls transactors. That's you if you use your credit cards but you pay the balance off in full every single month. It's way tougher on revolvers, people who carry balances from one month to the next. But the biggest change is a brand new penalty for something called re-leveraging. So listen up if you're thinking about a debt consolidation loan, because this is a new trap. If you take out a loan, pay off all your cards, and then immediately run those balances right back up, FICO 10T sees that pattern as a massive red flag, and your score is going to take a serious hit.
Now let's talk about the challenger, VantageScore 4.0. This model was built from the ground up with one main goal in mind: financial inclusion. It's specifically designed to fix that credit invisible problem we talked about. Its key innovation? It can generate a reliable score with just 1 month of credit history. The old FICO model needed 6 months. This is a huge deal for anyone who's ever been told, sorry, you just don't have enough credit history to get a loan. Thanks to this, VantageScore can accurately score about 33 million more people.
Okay, let's put them side by side. As you can see here, both models use that really powerful 24-month trended data. But look at the differences. For minimum history, FICO 10T is still at 6 months, while VantageScore 4.0 is just 1. And check out medical debt. FICO 10T lessens the hit, but VantageScore 4.0 is actually designed to ignore it completely. These aren't just small tweaks. These are two very different ways of looking at things. So which one's better? Well, that's the million-dollar question, and the answer really depends on your specific financial story.
As you can imagine, this has kicked off a pretty fierce model war. FICO's argument is simple. Their 10T model is just better at predicting who's actually going to pay their mortgage back. They put out data like this quote, claiming that lenders who use their new score could see a massive 17% drop in defaults. So FICO is basically saying, look, we're not just about being fair, we're about being right. Their whole position is that accuracy is the most important thing to keep the housing market stable.
Now, whether the goal is better accuracy or more inclusion, both new models agree on one thing: they need more data. Have you ever wondered why your on-time rent payment or your utility bill that you pay like clockwork every month never seems to help your credit score? Well, that's finally about to change. This new system is built to bring all that data out of the shadows, giving you powerful new ways to prove that you're a responsible borrower.
And this isn't just some theory. We've already got proof that this works. Fannie Mae ran a huge pilot program to get landlords to start reporting on-time rent payments. And the results? They're incredible. A full 60% of renters saw their scores go up. And even better, look at that second number. This program helped create a brand new score for over 51,000 people who were completely invisible before. This is an absolute game changer for renters. You can finally get credit for being a responsible tenant.
And it's not just rent either. You can now use services like Experian Boost to get your on-time utility and even phone bills added to your credit file. But here's the thing. This new visibility is a two-way street. It's also making what they call phantom debt visible. You know, all those buy now, pay later loans from services like Affirm or Klarna, they are now systematically showing up on your report. This means lenders can now spot a new risky behavior called loan stacking. That's when someone is juggling multiple BNPL loans at the same time. So if you're a big fan of buy now, pay later, just know that your every move is now being watched.
Okay, maybe take a deep breath for this one. We're about to dive into the most confusing, most chaotic part of this whole new world: medical debt. What used to happen when a medical bill went to collections was pretty simple, even if it was unfair. Now, how it affects your score depends entirely on where you live. It has become a messy, totally unequal zip code lottery.
So here's the short version of what went down. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB, had made a rule to completely ban medical debt from ever showing up on credit reports. But that rule got challenged in court, and in July of 2025, a federal judge struck it down. So what does that mean for you? Well, it means you're on your own. There is currently no federal protection to stop a medical bill from wrecking your credit score.
With the federal government sitting on the sidelines, states have had to step in. As of late 2025, 15 states, including big ones like California, New York, and Colorado, have passed their own laws to either ban or restrict medical debt from being reported. This has created this crazy patchwork system. A surprise medical bill in Illinois might not show up on your report at all, but that exact same bill could cause your score to tank if you live just across the border in, say, Wisconsin. So if you have medical debt, you now have to become a detective and figure out what the law is in your specific state.
This is really the crucial takeaway for this section.
Your zip code now literally determines if a health crisis is also going to become a financial catastrophe on your credit report. It is no longer a one-size-fits-all system, not by a long shot. Don't wait until you have a medical emergency to figure this stuff out. You really need to do your research now and understand the rules where you live.
All right, so we've covered the what, the why, and the how of this massive credit overhaul. Now it's time for the most important part. What does this all mean for you, and what actions should you be taking right now? This final section is your playbook. It's how to adapt and how to win in this new credit environment. First, let's just get a sense of the landscape. These new, way more sensitive credit models aren't being rolled out in some calm, easy economy. They're coming at a time when we are all feeling the financial squeeze. I mean, just look at these numbers from late 2025. U.S. household debt is at a staggering $18.59 trillion. Credit card debt is over $1.2 trillion, and student loan delinquencies are spiking. This kind of high-pressure environment makes mastering these new rules more critical than ever before.
So here it is, your 4-step playbook to win. Number 1, become a transactor. The new models, especially FICO 10T, give huge rewards for paying your credit card balances in full each month. 2, beware of that debt consolidation trap. Remember that re-leveraging penalty we talked about? Paying off cards with a loan just to run them right back up is now a certified score killer. 3, be proactive and opt in. Use those services that report your rent and utility payments to get credit for bills you're already paying on time. And 4, as we just covered, you absolutely must know your state's laws on medical debt.
When you really boil it all down, this entire shift moves us away from a world where your credit score was just a static number, a single snapshot in time. We are now entering an era where your score is a dynamic narrative. It's a story about your financial habits told over months and years. The new models can see your consistency, your direction, and your discipline. So the question is no longer just what's your score, it's what story does your credit report tell? And with these changes, you now have more power than ever before to be the author of that story.